Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds podcast. On this episode, we will be finishing up part 2 of our episode with Lewis Callahan, Opie Kennels, Opie, Boo Boo, whatever you want to call him. It's been a great episode so far. If y'all did miss it last week, be sure to tune in to last week's episode to catch up on the first half. And we're going to get started on the second half here in just a second. But we're also going to continue with what we've been doing, and our quote for the week is going to be from Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it's done. Thought that one was pretty cool. And our scripture for the week is going to be from Philippians 3:13 and 14. One thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. So hopefully those two things spoke to some people. And we're going to go ahead and get started in the rest of this episode. And I hope y'all enjoy it. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on your favorite listening platforms. And feel free to share it at any time, too. We'd be glad to be able to get this out to more people as we can. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. And let's get this episode started. Here we go. Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds podcast. This is your home for field trialing and deer dog hunting. It'll be stories and discussions on the world of dog hunting. So let's drop the gate, cast your hounds, and get ready for another episode of the Hounds podcast. The Hounds podcast is proud to partner with Outdoor Dog Supply again for the 2025 season. Outdoor Dog Supply is the leader in online garment sales with their world-class trade-in programs. These guys are not just a business, they're also houndsmen and women too. They test their products out in the field and really put them to the test. Get the latest in garment equipment, stay locked and ready with field trial equipment, collars, leashes, and so much more. Visit their website today at outdoordogsupply.com, and we want to thank Outdoor Dog Supply for their support not only for the podcast, but in the field trials across the country. When you're looking for your next purchase and equipment, keep Outdoor Dog Supply in mind. Now let's get this episode started, guys. Thank y'all so much. I know one we kind of skipped around a little bit too was Gigolo.
Gigolo. He produced a lot of dogs like when we had that first cross, we bred her to Kitty. Mm-hmm. We bred him to Kitty, and he was the East Coast field and dual champion, and he was also I think a 3-time bench champion.
Okay.
He actually won, I think, 4, but he won the same hunt twice, and they don't recognize it.
Right.
I think the Mahern River he might have won twice, but Gigolo was a real hound. We carried him to Georgia State and carried him to Swainsboro, and we always liked going to that hunt because it was right after deer season.
Right.
And we ran a lot of these dogs on the outside, and
right.
They'd go down there, and them Georgia boys love to see them hunting dogs and speed, and all. But we've been down there, and he's placed multiple times, and Gigolo did.
Right.
And one time he actually was tied for 3rd, won his class, but a bench show dog beat him out.
Oh,
a derby dog. But he won his class, and it was 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. HGA were all tied with 190.
Oh, wow.
He had 100 points. He pushed him all the way back to 6th. He had 100 points for the bench and 190 in the field to make a 290 combination points. Do you know the other dog in the field that dueled had 290 and he lost it?
Wow.
I learned real quick how you break a combination. The field
I was going to say, that'll teach you real quick on
it. I tell people all the time about that story, and they can't believe you lose it with a 290 points. But
that's insane.
We did.
Okay. That's a tough field then.
Oh, yeah.
That's a tough hunt.
Yeah, we when Whitney actually won hers, the top 4 dogs at Joe's, the East Coast, the top 4 dogs were all tied for duels.
Wow.
All of them were set up for duel, but she had the most points and won.
That's
how
crazy.
tight it was. And she actually beat Josh Moll's dog, which was a rock-on kitty, and she beat him. And when she beat him, she only had 5 more points than he did. But see,
Huh?
5 points in hunting made, 5 points in speed and drive made her win the hunting over
Yeah.
him. So that
Right.
was 10 HGA points. Then she won in the speed and drive, was made it 10 more HGA points. And then the endurance was the same way, 10 more HGA points. So she actually got 30 HGA points over him, um, because he 5 points
Yeah.
broke it, and so it pushed him back to second.
Right.
And I tell you, he you can ask Josh Mull now. He'll tell you 5 points is a bad
That's right.
thing.
Yeah, I found that out myself this year. I had dog
I
miss the
think it.
top 10 by 5 points, and that hurt.
Oh yeah, I think his dog. Don't hold it to me. I can't remember sometimes, but I think it was Jim Beam. I think that was the
Okay.
dog.
I
But
got you.
but anyway, he was some kind of outdone that we beat him. But I told him it was something that one of our own dogs was trying to beat us.
Yeah, that's right. I was gonna say you always want your own to do the best, but it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
also a blessing when you're competing against something that's off of your own stuff.
Oh yeah, we had a dog called Opie's Tanya, and that thing, she
Mm-hmm.
was a real dog. That thing could hunt, and she could run too. But we were sitting there at a hunt, and it was the hunt that Pork Chop won, and we were sitting there, and me and Jimmy, and I think J Lo was like ninth, and then it went all the way up to second. She was 10th speed and drive, first in hunting and first endurance, because just how it was at Joe's.
Right.
Anyway, we were sitting there, me and Jimmy, going, "Who in the world has came here and beat her? I mean, who in the world?" When they called it out, they said this hand was the field dual combination, and me and Jimmy looked at each other and said, "Pork chop." It was our own dog. We were over there mad because somebody beat us. It was our own dog beat us.
What a way to lose, right?
Yeah, what a way to lose. But I think she was second at the West Virginia State,
Hmm.
and then she was second, I know, at the East Coast.
Yeah.
That was 2 times, and like Duchess, she won 2 hunts, and then she was second. She was second speed and drive, and they called it out. And when he was second speed and drive and second HGA at
Right.
pools at the
Yeah.
Tidewater, I think Tiny Rock that time had won the speed and drive and come in third, but she won the speed and drive, and I think she was 120 points in front of the second place dog in the field in speed. But Duchess was there and come in second. And I was like, who in the world come in here and, beat her? And they called it out, field dual combination and all this. And they called it Champion Opie's Gigolo and Monsters Debbie. It was Bobby and Angie McGinnis's dog, Big Boss.
Oh,
So
no
a
kidding.
Gigolo dog beat us out. That's always a good thing.
You need to start spreading them puppies out some and
Yeah.
stop competing against yourself.
Yeah, that was for sure. But it was funny, that you kind of mad, then you look and your own dog beat you out.
Right. That's right.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's some hunts you'll never forget right there, though.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yep, yep. Now, I don't think we've touched on him more specifically, but what about Fat Boy?
Yeah, Fat Boy, he actually won it. He won the East Coast Classic,
Mm-hmm.
and he was real fidgety,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't show as good. He placed the American Invitational. He placed all over.
Mm-hmm.
Kurt, when we had him down there, and I told Jimmy, I said, well, he won the hunt. Well, he won the East Coast Classic.
Mm-hmm.
So I told Jimmy the next year, I said, well, he won't get no points if he wins it again.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't carry him.
Okay.
So the third year, we said we're gonna carry him, and because he actually won the bench show at the Southeastern, and he beat out Champion Opie's White Man, which was a 4-time bench champion. That was a Gigolo Kitty, and he was a white dog.
No.
But anyway, he won the East Coast Classic Derby and placed right many times. Placed at Hollywood, the Hollywood Hunt, and different
Right.
ones. The White Man dog, but I got noticing that Fat Boy was showing better.
Mm-hmm.
So I told Jimmy, I said, we might get him up in a dual position. So we carried him the third year. Daggone if he didn't feel in dual at that one.
No.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
he wanted to speed and drive there, but he was out of Dillon. He was
Okay.
out of
Another Dylan dog.
yeah,
Gotcha.
no Dillon dog. He was out of Dillon, East Coast Dillon, champion East Coast Dillon, and his mama was Latina. And
Okay,
actually,
I got you.
Latina was the mama of him, Fat Boy, and Gigolo.
Wow.
You know, Gigolo was a Foxfire Ringo, and then he was his. You know, his dad was Dylan,
Right.
but he was a good looking hound. I mean, I mean, he said he just died last year. He was right at 15 years old.
I was gonna say I
Yeah,
thought you were still having some dogs pretty
yeah,
young off of him here
yeah,
recently.
yeah. Well, actually, the last ones we got, my nephew Beagle, climbed it, dug out the pen and got over there with him, and that was the last puppies that we got half Beagle, half Fat Boys. And I tell you what, they packed. It was 7 females she had.
Yeah.
All 7 of them lived, and 7 females. And you talking about something can scorch a deer?
I was getting
Man,
ready to
them
say I
things
bet
can
they
roll
some
it.
deer heathens.
But they pack good. You know, they
Yeah.
pack up.
Right.
You know,
Like
most
a
of the
beagle. Yep.
walkers won't honor each other that good, but these half Beagle, half Fat Boys, them things will pack right
Oh, I
up. You know.
bet. I bet. So it
Yeah.
sounds like Latina probably.
Oh
Did
yeah,
she ever put up a good fight for the Dam of the Year?
I don't really know. I don't really know. Back that then,
Yeah.
it was hard to keep up with. You know,
Okay.
like you know, it was hard to keep up with it. You know exactly how they were doing it or
Right.
tabulating it.
Right.
And now, like Cliff Parker does um, you know, he done went back to doing
Yes.
the
Yeah.
master, and he's really good at it. And
Yes.
I'm not real sure who does the All American race,
Right.
but they look like they've got their ducks in a row too. They're doing really
Yes.
good.
Yep.
And keeping up with the points, and Cliff was really good, you know, in doing it too. And the girl that did it before him, for somebody that never did it before, you got to give her a hand. She did
Yeah.
good too, just
Yeah.
because I would have been lost as last year's Easter egg, you know. But
Yep.
she still done really good. But Cliff took it back over, and he was really good at it. But
Right.
I don't really know, you know, how they did it.
The Hounds Tales podcast would like to take a minute and talk about our friends over at Cajun Lights. When pleasure running at night or judging those nighttime field trials, you can put your trust in Cajun Lights. With the economical Cajun Bayou for the every now and then light user, the Cajun Micro for the nighttime feeds and around the house times, then the top level Cajun Blinder for those hardcore crossing getters at night. The Cajun Lights are headlamp style light that free up your hands for voice recorders or your GPS. They offer flood style lights in red, amber, and a white walking light. Then the top of the line 4-level main beam light. If you're having a hard time catching crossings at night, give the Cajun Light a try. And the red and amber setting to catch the game without distracting them, and with the easy flick of a switch, go back to your main beam light to catch your hounds in action and get those numbers. Visit their website today at CajunLights.com, and at the checkout, make sure you fill out the survey after your purchase and select Hounds Tales Podcast to receive 5% off your next purchase with Cajun Lights. Now, let's get back to the episode.
You know, back then, how the points were and how it all worked back then that many years ago, you know. But
Right.
but Latina was a real good producer too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, like you said, that's a lot. That's a lot of information to get in. Like I don't know how these guys find the time to do it.
Oh yeah.
I know.
I mean, it's a lot of time and effort put into it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Daggone it, I'm a brain farting on the girl's name that's doing it. The one day stuff this year for the Masters. Daggone it. Anyway, when I saw that she was doing it this year, I shot her a message. I said, "Best of luck to you, girl. I'll be praying for you all year."
Yeah, that's right.
Because that's a lot of hunts to keep up with.
Oh yeah, that's you're exactly right. But Latina started it off in 2004.
Yeah.
The Johnny dog, we had a dog called Opie's Johnny. He was a Packo's Johnny Sykes Bunny.
Okay.
He won the speed and drive and got 2000. He was second HGA at the Georgia State that year in 2004, and he outrun the field by like 120 points. And
Wow.
the judges said that we should have had him in the all age. You know, he was just outrunning everything out there. And we bought him from Gene Wales. He
Okay.
came from Robbie Sykes.
Gotcha.
But Latina won he was second. Latina won the all age. So we won the Georgia State. We went to the North Carolina Open. We won the North Carolina Open with Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were fifth with Liza and 10th with Jesse. Then we went to the Mahern River and Q-Tip won that, and she went on to win the Virginia State that same year. She won that hunt too. She was already the Massachusetts State field champion, and she went on to win that. And it was like 560 some all these dogs. It was 800 and some dogs in that, in the Virginia State that year in 2004.
Wow.
And for her to win, and she had over twice as many HGA points as the second place dog.
Jeez.
So she was third in the hand of the year, and Spot Rock was third in the hand of the year.
I figured with
That's the highest we ever got, and we were like fifth in the kennels one year. That's the highest we ever got. We never got past third.
Man, I tell you what,
it's a lot of competition out there.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say, man. It's people talk about making Hound of the Year. You got to hustle to make Hound of the Year. Hustle to make it. Like it is insane how much hunts you have to go to and for a dog to hit really well. I mean, the dog that just won the All-American, that dog hit a handful of times last year, and I think won 2 hunts and still finished 5th in the daggone Hound of the Year. Like
it's a lot of competition that's out there. That's for sure.
That is no joke.
Lot. I mean, it's just stiff competition, and if you can get up in it, I was so proud about getting it. When Kitty won it, I actually flew down there.
Right.
And it was cheaper to fly than it was to drive.
Really?
But it didn't cost but maybe $100 each way.
Oh shoot!
It wasn't much, to fly.
Yeah.
And the first time I went in there when Kitty won the Dam of the Year, went to Gulfport and drove up, to Picayune. But that's where they had the banquet.
Right.
Then the second time, when I went out there for Spot Rock was third, and Ring was 10th. When I went out there for that, and then Kitty was like, I forgot, third or something in the dams, or whatever that year. When I went out there, I actually went to New Orleans, and then it's the same amount of distance. You can rent a car and drive up there the same amount of distance. It was from Gulfport or New Orleans or whatever.
Right.
So it wasn't far, but I wasn't gonna miss it. It was something in a lifetime for you to go.
Oh, for sure. I know. Yeah, 100%. I'd like to go to the banquet one year. When the banquet was up here at Pools last year, I regret not going up to it just to be there, just to be a part of it. You know what I mean? I hated missing it.
Oh yeah, you see a lot of the big boys. You get to rub shoulders with some of the big boys and everything, and a lot of stiff competition, comes to them. That's there.
That's right. We talked about one earlier in the show too. I wanted to touch on a little bit. It was an old school white dog, Q-Tip.
Yeah.
That was what, mid 2000s about, right?
Yeah, she Q-Tip she started out, and I told Miss LeGrand, I said, if I ever saw a puppy that had potential of being a multiple field champion, I said that would be her.
Right.
Just watching her, just watch how she ran, watch how she hunted, and tough as she was, just you could just look and see, it was really something to watch her come up through the ranks, and run against these other dogs and stuff like that, and yeah, she definitely was, and it was Rusty Tanner actually raised her. He raised her. We had bred another Gyp earlier, and he wanted a puppy. And he seen that Betsy dog I was running, and he always loved Betsy.
Right.
So we bred her, and he got a puppy. So I sent Todd down there to get the puppy.
Yeah.
And he turned them out, and he picked his 3 and left them in the pen.
Right.
Well, Todd watched them, and he said all of them out there running around playing. He said, but he looked in this one a little bit smaller than the rest of them. She was down there in the woods, little puppy now. She down there in the woods like hunting, going on down to the browse. So he went in there and got her, and he said, I'll take this one. Rusty called me up and said, Lewis, all these big pretty puppies over here, and Todd picked a little bit smaller one, and I'm just letting you know that that's what he done. I said, Rusty, whatever he picked is fine. He picked Q-Tip. That was her. So I named her how I came up with Q-Tip was twist the LeGrand, when you twist it, and then Cliven's cotton, I figure when you twist it,
Turns to a
cotton together,
Q-tip.
you come up with a Q-tip. Yeah,
I
so
like
that's
that.
how we named her Q-tip.
I
Yeah,
like that. And, it's something about when you can spot one out of puppy like that. That I love that story because when you can spot one out of puppy just doing something that's very unique, very special, it's like, all right, yeah, that's the one.
but
That's the
hey,
one.
hey, Al LeGrand spotted her too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so yeah.
Yeah, he was trying to con old young boy out of that dog, but I said, no, sir. I told him, I said, I do you all sorts of favors, but you ain't getting her.
That's
Oh
right.
no.
He said, wanted
Yeah,
that dog back.
she was a real hound. I mean, while we carried her, she placed
Yep.
Creedmoor. Anywhere we carried her, she placed.
Right.
She was just one of them type dogs and good looking hound.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I mean, she just, she catch your eye, whatever.
Right.
And
Right.
multiple times, sometimes it'd be like low scoring hunts
Mm-hmm.
at pools. And anyway, she went out and we was turned loose, didn't have new kennels. We turned loose the old kennels.
Yeah.
And the dogs come, they turned them all loose right there. And the dogs were running, around the curve. And I picked her up and held her.
Right.
And when all the dogs, most of them got it away, I sat on the ground, let her go out. She's one of the last ones to go out.
Right.
It was an older gentleman now. I still don't know who he was.
Yeah.
He told me, he said, she must have a big score, that dog. I said, no,
Yeah.
sir. He said, well, what points she got? I said, she got 30 points speed and drive.
Right.
He said, 30 points speed and drive. He said, I wouldn't even turn the dog out with 30 points speed and drive.
Uh-oh.
I told him, I said, buddy, I don't know you and you don't know me, but let me introduce you to Champion Opie's Q-Tip. I said, listen for her name when they call out the awards.
Right.
When they called it out, she was second. But
Ah.
but a bunch of dogs got scratched, and
Right.
she had a hell of a last day and went to the top.
That's all you
She
need,
both
baby.
won it. We
That's all
turned
you
her loose
need.
another time at Joe Lewis's at the Maryland Massachusetts State. She'd already won it the year before. We turned her loose, and when we turned her loose, she had 35 points speed and drive. She come in third.
Wow.
She could come back.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah, because like Bruce Cliven always said, he said they might scratch back to you.
That's right. Daggone right. Scratch back, baby.
Scratch back. That's right.
I've been in that position before. Scratch to me, baby. Come on,
Yeah, that's right.
give me some spots.
Yeah, you got to finish. It don't make no difference. You got to
That's
finish.
it. You can't win it if you don't finish.
Yep, you got to finish. Yep, that's it.
We're going to take a quick second and pause this episode and talk about our partners over at Elite Nutrition. Our hounds, they're athletes, guys. They give us their all each and every time that they're casted. Elite Nutrition offers an all-natural products to give your dogs the natural benefits they deserve. From the canine remove and all-natural wormer to the Electro Boost paste for an electrolyte replenishment, body fluid balance, and blood flow improvement. They also have products like Active Dog Powder for recovery and joint muscle support, Essential Dog Powder for daily vitamins and minerals, probiotics, prebiotics, and enzymes, and then the canine lactate powder for nursing dogs to help with milk supply. There are tons of other products for y'all to check out at CajunLights.com. Then click on the Elite Nutrition section to explore. When you go check out, only at CajunLights.com, use the code HTElite10 to receive 10% off your Elite Nutrition products. Again, that's HTELITE, the number 10, to receive 10% off Elite Nutrition products only via CajunLights.com. I've been using their products over the past couple months, and I could not be happier with the results. See for yourself today, and we want to thank Elite Nutrition for taking a step forward into this field trial sport. Now, let's get back to the episode, guys. Well, I know we've been hitting on a whole lot of these dogs, and something you kind of talked about at the very beginning of this too. I wanted to touch on a little bit. I don't know if I had this wrote down in our notes, but one thing I wanted to kind of speak on was it sounds like you family, y'all run do y'all still run pretty hard as a family, or does a lot of your family still run together with you?
Yeah, they help. Jimmy does a lot of the outside when we go deer hunting.
Okay.
And stuff, run the outside. He helps a lot there. And then when I'm gone, they take care of the dogs for me. They will help me run dogs. I'm not saying I don't do most of it, but they still do a lot of it. Too. They help. They help in any which way that needs to be done. Like, all of them chipped in and checked the water and filled up the water and
Mm-hmm.
fed them and took care of everything while I was gone to the All American. So I feel good that I got and one guy that helps us, David Lee Basie,
Yeah.
he texts me all the dogs watered. He helps us sometimes on the
Right.
farm, and then it makes me feel good that I know that the dogs are being taken care of while I'm gone.
And that's special too. You
Oh
get your
yeah,
family involved, and that carries on from how you got started with your dad. Getting you in
oh
and
yeah,
all that
that's
kind of
right.
stuff. So that's awesome. I love hearing that kind of stuff. Um, but now we mentioned this place, and this is one of the things. There's a nickname. There's a couple nicknames of a fox pen that used to be around, and one of the nicknames is Opie's Playground. I want to hear some old Joe's House of Pain, Joe Lewis fox pen stories. Well, first off, I want to know where the Opie's Playground come from. How did that get started?
I don't know. It was some of them jokers playing a trick on me and stuff. And we got down there and they done made a big sign and put up there Opie's Playground. But really, it was AKA Joe's House of Pain.
Mm-hmm.
Joe has had excellent running in that pen, but then sometimes, you know, it run up into the daytime, the foxes might go in the hole or
Right.
whatever, and the dogs had to stay busy.
Right.
And so, it was kind of like it took a dog with grit, it took a tough dog, but it took a dog that would stay there and hunt.
Right.
And that's kind of what our dogs are bred.
Yeah.
They're kind of bred to, most all of them are bred to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
If if it ain't no running, they're gonna try to find something to run.
Right.
And all, but they just playing a joke,
I love
and
it.
they put it up there and it stuck, and they put it up there. But if you look at the results, we did do really good there. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you had a lot of success there.
yeah, we
It's
had a
kind of
lot of
the
success,
origin.
and
Yeah.
I really missed that pen. I wish it was still open. It wasn't but like 28 minutes from my house, 28,
Oh
30
wow.
minutes.
Yeah.
So it was nice to, go down there. We had some good times, cooking,
Right.
going in there and, fellowship with the boys. He passed away, but old Rob Murphy from Canada, he'd be down, and
Oh
we
wow.
we have a good time talking to all them boys, and met a lot of people from North Carolina
Yeah.
and different Maryland, different places that would come to the pen and all. And I just I wish that pen was still running.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But
hard losing one that close to you.
oh yeah, that. And but that pen would it would sometimes it would be good hard running,
Yeah.
and whatever, but then sometimes the running might break.
Right.
But the type dogs we had, they kept looking for them. They'd hunt.
Mm-hmm.
They stayed there and hunt. And they kind of bred old school. If you
Right.
look at a lot of our breeding is old school bred. Bred up.
Yeah.
They're like bred back. Where it's like more like outside dogs. Mostly.
Right. Right.
Bred. But I went and bred to different dogs. Our gyps, our good foundation gyps. I'd go breed to somebody's dog. Just like current kitty to breed to Calvary.
Yeah.
I'd venture out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And go
Yeah.
go breed to like go and breed to Dylan.
Right.
I like that. I saw him and liked it.
Yep.
And that's what we do. But
That's the
anyway,
way to be.
it was just a joke. Them boys put it up there on the. I made a big sign and it just stuck. But
I love it.
it really was Joe's House of Pain because he could make you cry sometimes.
Oh
boy.
yeah. The Hounds podcast is happy to announce our newest partnership with Low 10 Outfitters. If your kennel is looking for new apparel to rock to the next field trial, look no further than Low 10 Outfitters. They offer shirts, hats, hoodies, coats, and other accessories with custom logos for your kennel or your hound to go on. With top quality merchandise and long-lasting quality, you can't go wrong with Low 10 Outfitters. And very soon we will be offering Houndstale podcast apparel on their website at low10outfitters.com. So be on the lookout for that coming up here soon. Thank you, Low 10 Outfitters, for teaming up with the Houndstales podcast. And don't forget, guys, low10outfitters.com to get your apparel for your kennels. Now, let's get you back to your episode. Well, I never got to run in that pen. That pen was shut down before I got involved into the sport. And, everybody that I've ever talked to about that place nobody's ever had anything negative to say. They always said it was, no matter what the running conditions were, you still had a good time there no matter what.
Oh, yeah. We had a ball. We cook, and Chris Wright used to come down, and, boy, he can do some cooking, man. That joker had them black pots.
Yeah.
And he'd cook some of the best chicken and rice. I mean, he could throw it down. That boy can do something. I told him, if you ever decide you don't want to paint no more, you just go in and cook it. Because that boy can do some cooking there. I ain't lying. We had a bunch of good times together, all us.
Yeah. I know. I love seeing the pictures pop up on Facebook from that pen. It's really cool to see. It looked like a really cool place to be at.
And like it was fun. It was fun, fun to go, and and it was, good competition came there, and
right.
We got, we made a lot of champions there, but when that pen closed, we ventured on to, we go to pools some, but we wouldn't miss none at Joe Lewis's. Mostly we hit not all of them, but most of them
right
there. But anyway, we end up didn't have nowhere else to go, because unless you was you running like for competition, you both went to Billy Pools.
Yeah, right.
And so went in there, and those dogs really did great down there.
Right.
They went in there and placed a bunch, and won and everything down there too. So on the Fox, running Fox, but anyway, it was a nice pen to go to, and a lot of fellowship and fun times we had down there at that pen.
That's right. I sure wish I could have been around for some of it. That's for sure. So what kind of stud dogs do you got out there? I know you said you had Cowboy. What else are you breeding right now?
Well, most of the breeding, we breeding the Ring, which he's out of Calvary and Kitty.
Okay.
We're breeding the Ring. That's Charlotte's dad, and a lot of he hasn't been bred to that many times, but the dogs that's been coming off of him have been placing, like last year at the Masters, he was fourth. He had a puppy that was fourth. He's been placing dogs, all around. And
right.
Like I say, Charlotte was Ochon in Mississippi with 717 dogs, and to come in fifth.
Yep.
It's kind of like more like combination dual type dogs,
Gotcha. Right.
that can run it. And like he won the Southeastern, but he went back and turned around and won the speed and drive,
Right.
And the next year he turned around and won the speed and drive. The year before when he won it, he was like third speed. And I forgot why he wasn't hunting, but he ended up winning, the field and duel.
It was enough, right?
Oh yeah, but he's done really good for us, even though because he had to be doing something if he was 10th in the end of the year.
Yeah, daggone right.
He had to be, it had to be with all the competition that's out there.
How old is Ring now?
I want to say Ring is about 7 years old.
Okay.
7 or 8. Something I don't know exactly. I can't remember exactly. I want to say 7 or 8.
Yeah.
But I actually just bred him. I bred him today.
Okay.
I bred him to a boy's jip.
I got you.
But I've got Cowboy up there too, and we've got some puppies off of him. Got 3 different crosses, and off of him I got a female off of each cross, and they're doing really good. We ran at Blair Dalton's pen, Brian Dalton's pen Saturday night.
Right.
And my buddy Cole Mosley, he tried to snook a cowgirl from under me. He wanted to try to get her for $500. I said, no, sir.
Well, you tell him what did you see? What are you hiding from?
Yeah, I said, what'd you see? And he said he was looking at all the dogs and happened to look. Cowgirl was 30 yards in front of him, dusting them.
You're right.
So he was like, I said, no, cowgirl, she gonna stay here. I named her cowgirl on the account of her daddy's Cowboy. So
right.
I put the cow in that, and Mama is Pretty Girl. So Pretty Girl, I named her the girl part, so she's Cowgirl.
Worked out perfect, didn't it?
Yeah, it worked. She knows her name, that's for sure. She knows her name. Yeah.
It's now time for the Spotlight, presented by Cajun Lights. This is where each week we will recognize winners and other accomplishments across the field trial world. Now let's shine a lights on these guys and these dogs, and let's get to this week's winners. Alrighty, for this week's episode and the spotlight presented by Cajun Lights. I got 2 hunts that seen that was going on this past weekend. If I missed hunts, I do apologize for that. Again, if you're listening and you are part of a hunt, part of an organization that's putting on hunts and just wants them to be on here, please send me the pictures of the results. Send me what it is. The more I know, the better I can put it out there. So whatever I can do to help everything and do better with that kind of situation, y'all, I'd be glad to do it. So, but we're going to get started. The Piedmont 2-Class Masters hunt was at Triple B this past weekend. The Derby winner was DRM's Benelli, and that dog's out of DRM's B-Fan Seabake, and DRM's Susie Q from DRM Kennels. That dog scored 1,524 GTP. And then the all-age, the dual champion, was SNA's President Snow. And that dog's out of Smith's Google and SNA Latte from Big S and Spring Branch Kennels. Dog scored 2,264 GTP. And your field champion was Blaze Boy's Martha. That dog is out of Rollover Creek Tracker and Rollover Creek Star from Blaze Boy Kennels. That dog scored 2,374 GTP. And the other hunt for this weekend was the Texas State. The combination and classy hound for the weekend was Lake Hills Brandy Bishop. That dog's out of Efforts Hog Ray and Zuni Bishop. Dog scored 252 GTP. And your field champion was Tough Cat TS. And that dog was out of Everready S and Scat Cat S from North DeSoto Kennels. And that dog scored 275 GTP. That is all I have for this week as far as results. Again, if I missed your hunt, I do apologize. And if there is one that you would like to have put out there, feel free to shoot me that. Be glad to put whatever you got in here and get some recognition for all these hounds. So let's move on into the Around the Howl. All right, y'all, now it's time for Around the Howl, presented by Elite Nutrition. Just make sure you check out their products, Elite Nutrition products, at CajunLights.com. And for 10% off of Elite Nutrition products, when you use the code HTELITE and the number 10, that's HT Elite 10 at checkout. All right, let's get it rocking. All right, just a few quick things. First off, on this episode of Around the Howl, this week, we are looking forward to, finally, it is here, guys, the Virginia Classic 2-Day Masters. We are super excited. We've been putting a buttload of work into this, and we are ready to rock and roll. A lot of great prizes, a lot of good stuff coming for this hunt, guys. I cannot wait. So just want to do a few reminders real quick. If you are getting in on the one-day option, please bring cash for that. We ask for no checks on that. Please do cash. It makes it easier for us to be able to turn that into a physical item that we can hand out as an award for the one-day option. We have a pretty good rough idea of what we want to do for it, but cash is king, and that's going to help us be able to pay for that stuff and do it correctly. Let's see. Check-in for this weekend will be Thursday only from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. First day roll call is at 2:45. Please, for the love of God, remove all jackets. I know mesh jackets, sometimes you can see numbers, but it takes... I think that's that number. I think that's that number. I know people got a lot of dogs, and, you know, it's hard to remove jackets on all of them, and dogs bite numbers and blah, 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 but... help us out, guys. Take the damn jackets off. Makes things go so much smoother, so much easier to see. There's no confusion, and it keeps us from having to make trips back and forth because we read a number wrong under a jacket. And then, last but not least, we're going to be casting at 4 a.m. That is the goal, you know, if it, give or take a few minutes if something goes astray, but the goal is to be casting at 4 a.m. and run for 5 hours each day, baby. Let's get after it. The pen is boiling during that time period. So y'all best to have your dogs in shape. It's gonna be 2 hard days of good running, and we're excited. We're super excited. So we're gonna try to bring y'all as much live on Facebook as we can for this. Signal inside the building is usually little to none, but we'll do the best that we can to do that for you, and hopefully we make something work. Next up on the Around the Howl, this comes from the North Carolina Sporting Dog, I think, Association. I kind of pickpocketed this off of a post that I seen from them. Got some trouble going on in North Carolina, guys. It is a developing situation. I'm just going to read the post. I'm going to read it word for word from them. From the North Carolina Sporting Dog Association. So, it's a developing situation which threatens our right to hunt with dogs in many parts of North Carolina. Last week, the North Carolina Senate passed Senate Bill 220 to protect private property rights. This bill would require written permission to hunt, fish, or trap on private land and can be viewed here. And there's a link that you can find on their Facebook page. This bill is supported by the North Carolina Wildlife Commission, North Carolina Forestry Association, North Carolina Realtors Association, and North Carolina Wildlife Federation. They are disappointed to learn last week the bill is also supported by the North Carolina Farm Bureau, which I have my own thoughts on that, but I'm going to keep to myself. Although our lobbyists and conservationists with the bill sponsors, members, and staff in the Senate leadership decided to move the bill quickly through, and the sponsors refused to accept any proposed change. They want to send a thank you to Senator Norm Sanderson and Senator Bob Brinson for voting no on this bill. There were several excused absences for the final vote, as some members were so frustrated they drove home rather than vote. The bill now heads to the House of Representatives, where we hope it will not receive serious consideration. We will be working hard to educate members about this tremendous impact this bill has on hunting traditions in our state. This bill is strongly opposed by the North Carolina Sporting Dog Association. While we always encourage our members to work with landowners and get permission to hunt on private property, a statewide written permission law is unnecessary and creates many problems for hunters. The North Carolina Sporting Dog Association opposes this legislation for the following reasons. North Carolina's existing trespass laws, including the Landowner Protection Act, already provide robust protection for landowners who wish to require written permission on their land. Local laws in 25 or more counties already require written permission. This is an issue which can be solved at the local levels with local bills. What is appropriate for Wake County may not be appropriate for Hyde County. Some hunting clubs are spread across hundreds of different tracts of land. Some of these tracts have multiple owners, and many of these owners live outside of the state. With written permission from every landowner will not be possible on an annual basis in many cases, and law-abiding hunting clubs will be forced to disband. Many landowners are hesitant to give written permission due to their fear it opens them up for legal liabilities in the case of incident or accident. Thank you for the trust in us to advocate for you on these important issues. So y'all be sure to go on there, on the North Carolina Sporting Dog Association Facebook page, to follow this closely. I do believe they're going to do a good job of keeping everybody informed on this. Definitely seems like a rabbit hole issue, and hopefully they can beat it down there. I'm definitely going to try to keep as informed as I can on this, and hopefully maybe voice my opinion on that if I can. But that's kind of the last thing I have. So y'all be careful. Y'all down in North Carolina, looks like some sideways kind of stuff might be coming y'all's way. So y'all just be careful, guys, and hopefully it turns out the right way it needs to. But y'all need to kind of band together and be ready, guys. So just kind of keep your eyes open. So all right, now we are going to go back to our episode and hit our listener question. We haven't done one of these in a few weeks. I've been kind of slacking on that end, but was able to talk Opie into making this happen, old Boo Boo. And so we're going to get to hitting on that right now. It's time for the listener question section presented by the Southern Hound Hunting Magazine. If you're looking for a magazine that reaches all of your all things hound hunting, the Southern Hound Hunting Magazine has it. From foxhounds, deer dogs, hog dogs, small game dogs, you name it, the Southern Hound Hunting Magazine has it. Visit their website today at southernhoundhunting.com to get a 1-year subscription of quarterly magazines for just $20. Now, let's get to these questions, and we'll discuss these topics that y'all sent in. Thank y'all so much, Southern Hound Hunting Magazine, for your partnership. Well, buddy, we're getting towards the end of this thing.
Okay.
You know, I wanted to hit this last little section here. We talk about the,
Okay.
you know, I get guys that write in on the Facebook page and stuff with some listener questions, and one we kind of wanted to talk about, and you've kind of hinted around a little bit at it here recently. The criteria of a stud hound. You know, what to you makes a good stud dog, and what are you looking for when you say, yeah, that's what I'm gonna go to. That's the dog I want to stud. That's what's gonna be my top side.
I like, to research the hound, but I would suggest to anybody, research the hound. Really, if you could look at the hound, like I looked at Dylan, I saw Dylan in action. You pick a dog out that you see that can run. I judged Calvary. I saw, that dog could run. He's an athlete. I pick dogs out like that by watching them. But I would suggest to anybody, if you know you got a good stud dog in your area, don't ride 4 or 5 hours away. Don't let jealousy or pride keep you from breeding to a good hound in your area.
Right.
I mean, we just bred the cream dog, and we went down to Bracy and Long Branch Kennels and bred to Spider Monkey. I saw the dog in action. I saw him at the East Coast Classic, watched him, and liked the way he performed. He's bred up. It's 5 crosses of Batman in that dog.
Right.
Anyway, I like the way he looked, and they got a lot of dogs out there, and I know they're good. But I seen this one, and I won't go ride 5 hours away when I know it's right here in my neighborhood.
There you go. That's it.
So I'd say don't let pride or jealousy keep you from getting a good dog. Breed to somebody's dog in your neighborhood.
Right.
A whole lot of times you'll drive right by the best dog.
Oh yeah.
To go breed the one you heard about.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
sometimes they ain't all what it's all over. It ain't. If you can lay your eyes on him, that's the one you need to breed to. If he's a champion or not.
Yeah.
Because he's not. I'm pretty sure he's not a champion, but he's a good dog. I know that.
Well, you said it. You've mentioned it a lot. You seen, you watched, you judged. Yeah. There it is. There's your key point right there. Yeah. You're out in the field. You're watching these dogs. You're judging these dogs. That's how you're watching and seeing and picking what you want to do. So to anybody listening, I know I hark on it a lot about here, and you see it on Facebook a lot about needing judges. And then you go do a field trial and you haven't judged a single hunt and wonder why you're getting your tail drug around. You go out there and judge a hunt, you're going to see why. And then you're also going to say, man, look at that dog. I want something out of that. Just like you're talking about. That's what you've done with a lot of these dogs.
Yeah, well, Moneymaker, Wayne Clark's dog, I judged the hunt. I never saw him in 3 days. Mm-hmm. Never saw him. Another judge, Dean Crutchfield, told me, he said, you seen the 7-Eleven? I said, no. We were just talking, after, after the hunt. Not, the hunt was still going on, but he said, you seen the 7-Eleven? I said, no. He said, well, he runs the track. He don't run his head up. He was a track running hound.
Right.
He's a good-looking dog, and I really like him. Well, I never saw him.
Right.
Anyway, I wasn't that far from him at Swainsboro. I was down there like on House Cat Road and Red Fox Road. Well, he was up there on I-95, they call it.
I got you.
We weren't that far apart, but I just never saw him.
Yeah.
The last day, they turned the dogs loose and made the cut, and that dog had made the cut.
Right.
He the first crossing I got, he was way out in front, running the coyote, and I got, well, there he goes. That's 7-Eleven. And he goes by. Well, then I see him again, and he's hunting. I watched that dog, and you see that kind of, you see he can run. Then you can see that he's good looking, and you see him hunt like a bird dog. I went and bred, the first one we bred was J-Lo. Yep. Then we went back and bred Duchess to him. and that's what, we got these puppies.
Right.
I went down there and bred to him, but I actually saw the dog.
Right.
And when you see it, you go, God, I'd like to have some puppies off that dog.
Uh-huh. That's the
And
world of difference right there. That's the world
but
of
yeah,
difference.
I would encourage, like you said, I would encourage everybody to at least judge one hunt a year, at least one,
Yep.
and that'll help you out, helps the associations and everything. And I think you'd really get a lot out of it if you do it.
Exactly. You're killing two birds with one stone. Like you said, you're helping out the hunt, and you're also putting an eye on things that could help you in your
Oh yeah,
in
because you
in
always
your
want
field
something
trial.
better. And
Right.
like you said, the dog of Paul Caskey's, that dog was a moneymaker dog, and
Yeah.
it showed, good looking hound. I mean, that was a fine dog. I can tell you that.
Right.
He come real close to winning the speeding drive.
I was gonna
That
say.
dog
I
was.
mean,
He was a sharp looking hound. He won the bench show in classiest hound, so that shows you he
right.
was. He definitely was. Was a good looking hound.
Yeah. Must have barely missed out on making the duel too.
Yeah, they did.
Yep.
It was I think it was really close, but it ended up that he didn't get it, but it's still a nice dog, a real nice
Right.
hand.
Yep. I like it. I like it. Well, Boo Boo, I definitely appreciate you coming on here, brother. Before we get off of here and wrap this episode up, man, is there any last minute thanks or shout outs that you want to give out before we close this thing up?
Yeah, I just say, thank everybody that's helped us in the field trial world. That's always, done things for us and helped us at a field trial. I can't think of everybody's name. I ain't gonna start, but because
Right.
I'd miss somebody. But thank everybody that's helped us, come far as we have in the field trial world.
I like that. I appreciate that. That's awesome. I can respect that a lot. I can respect that a lot. So, well, buddy, I'm sure I'll be seeing you soon at a field trial. And everybody listening, thank y'all so much. And we'll be sure to keep on bringing these good guests on here like this one. And thank you, Mr. Callahan, again. And everybody out there listening, thank y'all so much. And we will catch y'all on the next one. And like always, guys, happy hunting.